Alright, good. One game down, plenty more to go. I want to get some sleep. Oh wait, it's daylight. Walk couldn't hurt. Almost forgot, I probably need my watch. Wait. Flashy coat. Uh-oh. When Ben 10 first premiered on Cartoon Network, it was a smashing success. And what do you do after a beloved series ends? Make a new one and premiere it just 3 days after the series finale. I wish I was kidding about that, but the numbers don't lie. The next series in the lineup, Alien Force, featured a 5-year-older Ben Tennyson as he, his cousin Gwen, and newly found ally Kevin, yes that Kevin, travel the country in search of their missing grandfather, Max. This leads them to encountering new foes, returning foes, and for the first half of the series, the Hybrid, aliens who wish to turn the world to ice for their species to rise. And they're also racist. Really, really racist. The new series is known for taking a darker, more serious tone. Less jokes, more drama and action, to put it simply. And unlike the original series with the game in its prime, Alien Force got its game 5 months after its debut, simply known as Ben 10 Alien Force for the PlayStation 2, Nintendo DS, and PlayStation Portable. Something I forgot to mention in my Protector of Earth review was that this game was developed by High Voltage Software. Alien Force was developed by a different company, Monkey Bar Games, who's probably most famous for Curious George. Oh boy. Well, better get started. The game focuses on the trio as they help a plumber known as Gorvin retrieve rogue alien tech that the Hybrid are supposedly searching for, as it's a mission given by the plumbers themselves. Turns out Gorvin is instead a fugitive plumber who sells tech illegally. This is found out too late as the Hybrid used the tech to build weather towers to freeze the country in order to inhabit their species. The team heads off to stop the towers. They do so, and that's all she wrote. That's of course summarizing the story in its simplest form. When you expand it, yep, this is totally Alien Force alright. Since everyone's gotten older, they're more mature in their actions. They still bicker and joke every now and then, but otherwise it's taken seriously. No longer is Ben the immature doofus we know, rather... Okay, we'll get to that later. What's really odd is the representation, rather the lack thereof. Sure, you have Ben, Gwen, Kevin, and the Hybrid, but then for villains, you only get that robot dragon from the pilot and Volcanus. That's it. Compare that to Protector of Earth with all its villains, you could tell High Voltage put all their passion into representing Ben 10. I don't know, maybe more villains could have made it better? I feel like I'm going to regret saying that later. The voice actors for returning characters reprised their roles, thankfully. Yuri Lowenthal as Ben, yes, that Yuri Lowenthal, Ashley Johnson as Gwen, Greg Sipes as Kevin, and D. Bradley Baker as every alien in the game. Mad respect to D. The range of his voice is astonishing. You have to give credit to a guy who can make all of these characters feel unique. Okay, yeah, I stalled long enough. I don't like how this game looks and sounds. Maybe it's the shift from one series to another, but it's, well, off-putting to me. When you look at Protector of Earth, it feels like a 3D version of that show. It clicks with me. You look at Alien Force and it just doesn't click as naturally. Cinematics and in-game cutscenes are night and day, in-game looking rough around the edges with their basic movements. The soundtrack, though, took a hit. There aren't many songs this time around, and many are used constantly. None of them are memorable to me, only serving their purpose and leaving it at that. Maybe the gameplay can get some positivity? Well, barely. Let's start with the basics. Once again, you get to control 5 aliens, starting with 2 and unlocking the others. Unlike last time, there's no in-game reason, it just is. Pretty lazy when compared to what came beforehand. Speaking of what came before, I got a comment from that review saying I should elaborate on the aliens. With that in mind, let's do just that. First is Swath Fire, who uses fire abilities to ignite certain objects to proceed through the level. This is only used in one level. He can ignite enemies for lingering damage, so that can be useful if you need an edge. Next is Big Chill, who can freeze enemies and hover over breezes that fly over deep spaces. These are 2 aliens you get at the start. Now for the unlockable aliens. Spidermonkey is unlocked after level 1, who can spray his web to stall enemies and climb certain walls to reach places other aliens can't. He also has a slingshot ability where if you see a specific web, you can jump and latch onto it to gain some height. He's agile compared to the others, so if you need to focus on dodging, he can prove useful. After level 2 comes Wright, who can fly fast and boost in the air for more distance. He's the only alien that can swim, so if you need an underwater section, he's your alien. Even if, once again, it's mandatory in only one level. Finally, after level 5 is Humongosaur, who's the slowest alien, but makes up for it in strength. He's a brute tank, even immune to statuses like fire and ice. In terms of use, every alien gets used throughout the game. Combat-wise is completely up to you. Speaking of which, combat is exactly the same as last time. With every enemy beaten, you get experience in your yellow bar. Fill it up, and you gain 1 combo for 1 alien. Just like before, inputs are the same, but aren't usable until you unlock it for that alien. Also returning is the green bar. Every attack and combo drains the bar. Once it runs out, you're forced back to Ben. Unlike Protector of Earth, however, there's no master control, so you never stay as an alien the entire time. I don't understand why they got rid of master control this time. I thought it was a pretty good reward for getting through the game, be able to play as your favorite alien as long as you wanted. But I guess it was never meant to be. Fair warning on combos, they have a bit of a wind-up this time, and sadly can be interrupted, so timing plays more of a factor, as do elements. Strengths and weaknesses are attempted here. Each element, like fire and ice, are weak and strong against certain enemies and bosses. To be honest, this doesn't hold much value, and it just means enemies either take more of a beating or less. You can easily ignore this system and just go for broke. Oh yeah, the bosses, they're not good. Every boss doesn't use alien strengths, most of them are straightforward beat-em-ups. Later bosses take strategy, but... Okay, yeah, I have to rant here. Skip to this time, I'll give you a little bit. The final boss just sucks. You're up against a hybrid, one of the strongest forces in the universe. So how do you beat him? You don't! Hit the console, activate one of 4 switches, rinse and repeat to hit the final console, and you win. I avoided him and his goons the entire time, and still won. I almost dropped the game after that, because yes, the final boss isn't even in the final level. But, to be fair, if it isn't the bosses that make you drop the game, it might be the level length. Last time, levels took around 10 to 15 minutes, minus challenge and boss stages. Here, there's 8 levels. Each at least 20 minutes, up to a whopping 40 minutes. These levels are long, and tend to drag out their welcome. Enemy encounters are constant, some within 5 feet of each other, just to pad out gameplay. You can take just 3 steps and boom, enemies. Take another 3 steps, boom, more enemies. Take 5 steps, boom, more enemies. I keep expecting the Werehog theme to play during battles. It happens that much. No, not again, not again, no, not again, not again. It makes combat stale, even with combos. It happens that often. I can only skewer you with ice spikes so many times before it gets dull. There's still platforming, but it only just does its job. Until the last level where platforming is apparently the main gimmick. Swell. Otherwise, it's a flat path to the next section. Puzzles are added here and there, but they're nothing special. You should be able to solve them as long as you pay attention. And as if that wasn't enough, say you need an alien to move on?
Tall, tan, looks like a lizard. Sound like anybody you know? You're in a tough situation. Maybe you should just chill out.
You can't do anything here right now. Come back later as Jet Ray.
We're in a hurry, so usually I'd say don't monkey around. But in this case, any hot ideas about what alien might be useful about now?
Don't worry, Kevin and Gwen will right out tell you which one you need. This eliminates any challenge because why bother figuring it out yourself? The game will do it for you. The first game did that too, but only so often. Then it let you figure it out yourself the later you got into the game. Worst yet, these tips happen all the time. Say you get to a certain point in the map and you have to backtrack, you still get the quote even after you figured it out the first time. Now, to compensate that last time, there were collectibles and upgrades to find. That's the case here too, but somehow done worse. Collectibles are in the form of plumber's badges, each a different color depending on the reward. Red boosts strength, while blue gives you invincibility. Yellow and orange badges are upgrades to increase Omnitrix's recharge rate and how long you can do combos and keep aliens in the game. Green bars give you bonus content like concept art pictures. Just 8. You're given a list of what you can get before the level starts, but to be honest, the collectibles don't add much to replayability. There's no grading system, and you get character models automatically from what I can tell, so there's no point in ever going back to past levels. Even when they force alien abilities you don't have yet, I don't see a point in returning, especially just to play a level that goes close to a half hour. The models do give you bios, so that's at least a slight upgrade. Hey, wait a minute, you're not even in Alien Force! Get out of here! Forced cameos, am I right? There is one new aspect I should bring up, the extra playable characters. Yes, for the first time, you can play as both Kevin and Gwen. Let me stop your excitement right there. First is Kevin. He can absorb either wood, metal, or stone as a shield and extra damage to enemies. You can only absorb it when the icon is in your local area, so you can't just choose it on the fly. Besides one puzzle, it's only used for combat, so your preference on which you choose, well, it's up to you, I guess. Gwen can use her magic as a shield and projectiles, and that's really it. Now, playing as them should be cool, except you only use both in 2 levels the entire game. Kevin in level 2, Gwen in level 3, and both in level 8. It's a letdown, because I wouldn't mind playing as other characters, but how it's handled makes me wish it wasn't a thing at all. I hear there's another playable character in Omniverse, but I'll have to wait and see later down the marathon. Now, there is a point to the game in terms of the series. While the story is not canon, the ending teases a canonical event for the story arc's ending. That arch is the Hybrid's final base as seen in the show, specifically the Season 2 finale, a reward for fans who played through the entire game.
I can't give away any spoilers, but pay close attention to the end of the game.
But seeing as how the show is 12 years old, it's not a good incentive to play the game anymore. I hate to admit it, but you can skip this game and be perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong, it's still playable, and I'm sure someone would have fun playing the game, but if I had to pick between these two, I would go with Protector of Earth first. proceed this one with caution, even if you're a fan of the show. I hate to think of it like that, but it's only a serviceable sequel. It copies Protector of Earth while adding Kevin and Gwen, and that's really it. There's no sense in replaying the game, even with the secret codes. Levels last way too long, bosses aren't remarkable, combat loses its muster, there aren't as many collectibles for you to come back, it just, well, doesn't sit right. And in the long run, that really is a shame. So that was a dud, but thankfully Alien Force got one more game in its lineup, a follow-up known as Ben 10 Alien Force Vilgax Attacks. Oh yeah, there was a third Alien Force game. Alien Force got a digital-only game known as The Rise of Hex. It's a 2.5D puzzle solver where you use aliens in order to defeat the return of Hex. Sadly, I don't own it, and I'm pretty sure you can't own it anymore due to it being pulled from Xbox stores and WiiWare. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not sure, but sadly, this is one game I'll have to miss out on. Vilgax Attacks, on the other hand, I could safely dive into, so why don't we do just that? Starting in Season 3, Vilgax made his return as the main antagonist, as he got lost making it to the Warrior Cosplay Convention. Yeah, I don't get the design at all. But, to hype it up, Alien Force got another console game. Ben 10 Vilgax Alien Task Force. Yep, totally the title. This time, the game was developed by Papaya Studios, so yet another new developer took the Ben 10 series for a spin. Well, might as well see how I handled it this time. The game centers on Vilgax, as he uses null void creatures to decimate the world and inflict revenge on Ben. Being too late to stop him, Professor Paradox, best thing Alien Force ever created, sends the trio back in time to search the galaxy for the energy cores Vilgax needs and destroy them before he can use them for evil! Once again, the story is basic in concept. I do have a few gripes this time though. Kevin and Gwen are honestly just here. Unlike last time where they serve the plot, here they're along for the ride and that's really it. In fact, a lot of characters are guilty of that. Whether they're side characters who only make one appearance, or one of the main villains supposedly working for Vilgax. I know I wanted more representation, guys, but this is stretching it just a bit. I don't know, maybe more villains could have made it better? Oh, right, I said that. Didn't I? You know when you want something, yet when it happens, you sort of regret it? Well, that's how I felt here. It's great to see all these characters again, once again represented by the voices from the show, but most of these are just cameos, especially the bosses. Like I said, they're supposedly working for Vilgax, but that's a huge stretch for some of them like Darkstar and Albedo. It's like Let It Go being in Kingdom Hearts 3. Darned if you do, darned if you don't. I just hope a good compromise turns around some point in the marathon. I will say the game looks much better. Animations are more fluid, and the look suits the Alien Force series. The different worlds are detailed beautifully, and each one stands out when compared to the others. The dark emptiness of Anarphatos, the wretched filth of Vulpin, it's great to see. And this music, oh, the music is so much better. Head-bopping battle themes, blood-pumping boss themes, they're all great tracks to listen to. Although this does continue the tradition of Ben saying the name of the alien he chose, I never understood that. Wait, hold on. That footage. Could I see that again? Oh, it's on a top-down view. You can move the camera? Sweet Primus! Yes! A gameplay change! Don't get me wrong, I love a good beat 'em up, but this? Oh, this was a pleasant surprise. Vilgax Attacks is an action platformer that sees Ben and his aliens explore different worlds, solve puzzles, and confront whatever stands in his way to get to the boss at the end of the stage. But before I get to anything else, there's something I need to praise the game on right off the bat. The fact that you get to play as all 10 aliens. Finally! Being able to play as all of Ben's aliens is just awesome. Not only do you get to replay as the aliens in the previous game, like Swath Fire and Big Chill, and as Cannonbolt returning from Protector of Earth, but the other aliens finally make their console debut, like Goop, Echo Echo, Brainstorm, and my personal favorite, Chromastone. Heck, the game knows you want to play as all 10, so the first level gives you access to every single alien before the Omnitrix needs to be rebooted, limiting your alien choice. Yes, a story reason for unlocking aliens. Thank you! Now, in terms of the levels themselves, they really make you use the alien powers to their fullest. Whether Swath Fire needs to burn through a path, Big Chill needs to glide on wind, Goop needs to wall jump, every alien at some point in the game uses their abilities for puzzle solving and level progression. Better yet, the game holds back on telling you what to do. Sure, sometimes the game leaves alien markers to tell you who you'll need, but even then, it's never about what you have to do. You need to remember what each alien does, and I love that about the game. You might have noticed by now there's no timer or gauge decreasing for the aliens. Well, strap in because the changes have just begun. Unlike the last two games, you don't get timed out as an alien. Whatever alien you choose, you can stay as for as long as you want. And if you need another one right away, just swap back to Ben, choose your form, and BAM! Instant! And when a puzzle needs 2 aliens, it's a relief to know that you can swap so fast without having for the gauge to refill itself. Now, the green bar that showed your time as an alien is only used for combo and special ability use. Whenever you use a combo, it uses a part of the energy bar, and it automatically refills over time. In fact, even combos are different. Each alien only has 3 combos, with the first 2 automatically yours. But those combos have multiple inputs, so whatever input you use is up to you, giving you plenty of options to adapt however you want. Once again, you need to fill the yellow bar to gain a combo, which, trust me, by the end of the game, you'll have all the combos. And combos feel satisfying to use this time, since you never have to worry about transforming back. Plus, it doesn't help to burn your enemies to a crisp. I'm also sure you've seen the small metal sections in the HUD. Well, those are saved for upgrades. So, to get an upgrade, you need to find red or green plumber's badges. Find 5 of one color and you can take a metal section off. So find 5 red plumber's badges, you gain health. Find 5 green badges, you get energy. So there's 30 badges total scattered across the levels, and they're the only collectibles in the game. In a downgrade, there are no extra collectibles like models or concept art. No, just in-game movies and a voice cast interview for finishing the game. You don't even get a badge count in the level select. You need to keep track of that yourself, whether you write it on paper or you use a guide. Imagine if Jak and Daxter never kept count of your power cells. It's basically like that. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. Even though there are a lot of changes to this game I love, it's far from perfect. Far from perfect. For one, your health. Before, if you died as an alien, you go back to Ben, and when you transform, you get a full health refill. Not here. Ben and all his aliens share the same health bar, and unless you get a health pickup, you die or fall in the pit. That's it. Back to the last checkpoint the game chose for you. And during battle, where enemies can barrage you for damage, that can be a problem even when blocking. And because the camera is focused on Ben and you can only rotate left and right, don't be surprised if a pit sneaks up on you. You could use the point of interest when it's available, but besides telling you where to go and log onto the boss, it won't be of much help. Good segue to the bosses, and well, it's actually a decent lineup. Despite the random choices and barely a reason for them here, some of them are good fights, even using your alien powers to your advantage, or the level gimmick to test what you've learned. Sure, some of them are straight up brawls, but even those can be fun. Except in the final level. 2 rant to 1 video, we're in the big leagues now, folks! The final level is nothing more than a boss rush, and not of previous bosses, but completely new bosses. 3 no void creatures, and then the final confrontation with Vilgax. And these bosses can be cheap, especially the huge amount of damage they can cause when unblocked. With very few pickups for health, these guys can take multiple tries just to take down. Except Vilgax is 10 times worse. Attacks that nearly drain your health, a health increase if you fail to lead into a power beam, tons of enemies to overwhelm you. This guy has it all, and it took me a good 20 minutes to beat him, one of the bosses I could get on my first try. I swear you can only use Echo's copy ability to even stand a normal chance. Wow, 2 final bosses I had to rant on. Let this be a pattern broken easier than a FNAF game theory. I may have mentioned this earlier, but I want to go in more depth. The levels themselves are good for a first attempt. Traveling through alien worlds makes for great scenery as well as decent challenges. Many puzzles to test your aliens, platforming challenges to keep your focus, and levels getting shorter as you get closer to the end. Yeah, levels could have lasted between 30 to 40 minutes at the start, but the closer you get to the end of the game, they can last 15 to 20 minutes. Either all the budget was spent on the visuals, or someone raided Volcanus' stash again. Surprisingly, I only noticed the length when the levels were shorter. Otherwise, I was fully invested, something I'm proud the game did well on. Too bad, unless you like the levels or the bosses, there's no need to replay the game again. Unless you really want the upgrades, you'll get the full experience in just one playthrough. And for the game to do so well in areas that is a far step up from before, that's honestly a shame. And yet, I can't help but say this was my favorite Alien Force game. Levels are unique and fun to traverse, combat is thrilling, bosses for the most part are exciting, presentation is a huge step up. It's a solid game. Sometimes one great playthrough can be better than a mediocre or bad replay. Sure, I miss the extra collectibles and I do have a few gripes, but what I got was still an enjoyable adventure through the cosmos. If I had to choose from the games I reviewed today, I'd have to go with Vilgax Attacks. It's the perfect step in the right direction for the series. Not that I didn't mind the beat 'em up mechanics, but this feels like a step in the right direction. Having the aliens play more of a role in the levels than just picking one for the sake of combat. Well, we'll have to see how the series handles it, and hopefully, it handles it well. Alien Force ended after Vilgax Attacks, so it's now on to the third series, Ultimate Alien. We have another doubleheader this time as well, Galactic Racing and Cosmic Destruction. How will they fare? Well, on the PS2Man. Oh, by the way, Vilgax Attacks has a gummy ship section where you can blast through meteors and get through space, but why bother when you can just skip the level? If only the gummy ships at Kingdom Hearts 1 had that feature. Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, well, you know what to do. If you want to keep up with any updates, make sure to follow Twitter, and if you want to catch out any of my streams, feel free to check out my Twitch. Other than that, I'll see you next time. Take care everyone.